Hi, Susan here, and today I want to show you what to do with these cabochons. Most people say, what do I do with these? They don't have a hole in them. Exactly. They're not really designed to string along as a bead, but you bead a bezel around them. And you wonder, what am I talking about? Well, you find all these beautiful pieces, and a lot of people say to me, I don't know what to do with them. Well, let me show you. Here's just a bottle cap that I've just worked around. I did put a epoxy sticker on it just because I liked the way it protected it from getting scratched while I was working. But you can take the simplest things. Here was just a flat piece that I had made with some UV coating and some glitters, and look at how beautiful it's. I call it through the looking glass. So there's a lot you can do with these, and let me just show you how easy it is to start. We take a piece of stiff felt, Pella, lining, whatever you're going to use, Linda's Lacy, and you're going to glue your cabochon or your piece onto this. You can use double stick tape. I haven't found one that's really strong enough. You know, let me use this. I've been staring at this cabochon forever. And I bought this, I think, in an estate sale or a thrift store. It was kind of fun looking. I think it came with a box of buttons. But basically, all I'm going to do is glue it down. And I'll wait about 15 minutes and let that dry. Or, you know, I could always start with this one. This one is a cameo that I found in another box of beads. And basically, I am just going to take my number 11 beads and start to bead around it. So let me go get a needle and thread. So I have my needle and thread. I've stretched my thread out. I put a knot in the back, and I am going to go through the back just in any random area where we're going to start to bead. And as you can see, I have really long thread, so let's get it pulled through. Now I like to make a couple stitches so that it locks it in. I don't like to start with the first stitch through. This way I know it's not going to fall apart. Now we're basically just, these are size 11 beads. You can use any color, get them from anywhere. I usually start with 4 beads. 4 beads is my easy number. And I am just going to go around the cabochon with the 4 beads. And I'm going to come up between the 2 beads. Oops. And now you can see reality. And I think everybody's had this experience of a knot. No big deal. Now I'm going to go through the last 2 beads. And I'm going to add 4 more. And then I'm going to go back down and up through the last 2. And now I'm going to go back through the last 2, and I will continue adding 4 as I go, going through the last 2 until I get back to the beginning here where I started. So let me finish that and come back. So I'm back at the beginning, and I have my last 2 beads, and so in order to finish this off, I'm going to go through the first bead I started with. Whoops. And then I got to get this off the point. I'm going to go down, and I will come up in between the last 2 beads that I added so that I can reinforce those, because the first beads were already reinforced. Oops. So I'm going to come up through there, and I'm going to go through one of those beads, and now I am going to add a bead, and then I'm going to go through another bead, and what that is going to do is make this bead kind of stick up. And of course that point wants to be fiddly. So you can see that that bead is sticking up and out of the way. I'm going to continue to go around this entire circle now, adding a bead, skipping and going through a bead. And so that will leave me these points where I just have beads that stick up. And once I go around the whole thing, we can tighten this up and make it into a bezel. So let me finish this up and come back. So I finished adding my 11s all around, and you can see the little bumps all around here. I'm going to go up through the last 11 that I added that was up high. And now I'm going to add a number 15 in between these little 11s that are kind of standing out on top. They kind of make themselves real easy to grab because they stick up all around. And this will start to tighten, whoops, up this bezel. Got a little knot in there. And there goes my dog. And you can see how it's starting to form and tighten up a bezel, and this is what is going to hold your cabochon in place. Now, you could do this with different contrasting colors. I'm trying to keep it all gold because this is such a delicate piece here. With the soda pop lids, I like to add the different colors that are in the soda pops or add another color to it. I just like finding ordinary objects and using them in my beading. And now that you know how to bezel a cabochon, you will start to look at beer bottle caps, water bottle caps, just buttons, strange things in a new light, because you can pretty much put a bezel around anything. And you see when I pull that tight, how that starts to go around. So I'm going to continue around this until I get back to over here where we started. So I'm back to where we started, and I'm adding the last number 15. I'm going to go back through the first 11 and the first 15 that we added. And now I am basically, see how it just tightens right up there? When you pull on it, I'm just going to go through the 15s. And what that is going to do, I'm going to skip the 11 and just go through the 15. And this is going to really tighten it up by bringing those tinier beads forward and really controlling the whole bezel around it. So as much as this, everybody thinks these look complicated, you can see where I've pulled those two through. I'm just going to continue going through each one of the 15s, tightening this up as I go. And that's pretty much all there is to it. And I will continue around this until I come back to the front, and that will tighten up my entire bezel. Now, if you have extra room, you could go through it again. Sorry about my phone, but it doesn't always, 15s can be a little fiddly and the holes can be very tight, and sometimes they won't let you go through a third time. But usually twice around will hold it really nice and tight. And once you're done with this, then you can go back, and if you wanted to add pearls, if you wanted to add some other size 15s, if you want to add flowers, whatever it is, that's how you can finish this off. And then you will cut it out and glue it onto a piece of ultra suede and then sew that together with some beads. But that's pretty much all there is to a beaded bezel. So I'm back at the end, and I went through the last hole, well actually the first hole we went through on the 15s, and it's real tight, so it's not going to let me go through again. I am just going to creep down through that bezel, and now you could either, like I said, stop now or continue to add some beading. I'm going to continue to add some beading because this is just not enough for me. And I'm sure the curiosity, everybody wants to see what I come up with, so I will finish this up and come back. So you can see how it's come along quite a bit, and before I finish it up, I just wanted to show you something that I do. I have shown this in another video, but in case you haven't seen it, I take just a Sharpie marker, and this is a similar color, and I just like to color the white stiff felt that I'm using. You can use all different sorts of things, but whatever it is, if you're using one that's not a colored base, this is a great way to get it to blend in. So if it peeks out anywhere, trust me, you won't even notice that once I put the beads on. You'll say, how did she do that? It magically disappeared. Even on camera you can see it's sort of blending in just by adding that little bit of color to it. You can see that made a huge difference, and that only took a second to do. So to finish the edge off on your bezeled piece, I take my needle and I go up through the fabric between the ultra suede and the felt. I'm covering the back with ultra suede so that it's an even mix, so the back won't be that ugly mess that I had before. I always like to cover my back. Ultra suede seems to be the most wonderful fabric, and I don't buy it from beading companies. I buy it from eBay. I buy old coats and skirts and wash them and just cut them up. So now I'm just going to go through both pieces of the fabric. I have a size 11 seed bead on the edge here, and I am just pulling it through. And now I am going to go upward through that bead. Now you could go either direction. Oops, the thread. The reality of thread never disappoints me. So, whoops, let's get that out. You could go either direction, towards you, away from you, whatever you prefer. Just whatever direction you go in, stay in that same direction. So I will continue to go through both pieces of fabric and right up on the edge again. And I will do this all the way around, and what this will give me is a beautiful beaded edge finish. And it will have a much more seamless look than if I just finished it with stitches. So as you can see, I'm starting to get that beautiful beaded edge there. And I'll come back after I've done it all so you can see the difference. So to show you how I finished the beaded bezel, and you can see I put some extra little number 15s on the edge here. I put some daggers at the ends just to give a nice fringe. And you can keep beading and change it any way you want. I still have a thread over here because I still have to make the necklace. I haven't decided how I'm going to string that. But on the edge, you can see how the beads finish it off nicely, and on the back, how you get a beautiful clean finish. So if you want to make a beaded bezel, you can use stones, rocks, little jewels, anything you can find that you can put a bezel to hold it in. It can be free form. It does not have to follow a shape. It can be just any kind of shape you have, and you can create anything. So look at your pop tops and all sorts of other things in a whole new way, because you can create jewelry with them. So I hope you enjoyed that, and thanks for watching.